Hey, welcome back. This is Kimile, and you're listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. Have you ever wished that you could just stop taking things so personal? Because if you did that, it would show maturity, and you wouldn't get upset, and you wouldn't react, and you wouldn't feel stupid after a fight. A lot of couples are very super sensitive to their partner's feelings and thoughts about them, but it gets in the way of real communication. Because as soon as you're in a real conversation and you're dialoguing and your partner says something you don't like, you react, you're defensive, that's just now the conversation goes off track. It's not really about what you need to talk about anymore. It's about how you got your feelings hurt. So today I'm going to give you a list of ways that you can maybe consider to stop taking everything so personal. And look, if I say this, it's like somebody's an a-hole before you and they're an a-hole after you. So it isn't like you're bringing that out of them. If people are mean and they're critical, that's just who they are before you and after you. It doesn't mean that you're really what they think they are. A lot of people project onto you. And I do think a sign of maturity is the ability to be patient and listen, even if you're being criticized or attacked, without reaction, without, lashing out or getting defensive. Because again, the minute the power struggle begins, the minute you start defending, the conversation's over. It's not even about the conversation anymore. It's about your hurt feelings or their hurt feelings, And when I'm working with marriages, with couples, I say, look, I want you to say something to your partner and exactly what you want from them, what's your request of them, but say it in a way that doesn't shut them down. If you're pouncing, if you're critical, look at your partner when they receive that communication. Are they open-hearted? Are they willing? Do they seem, amenable to you? Or did you just shut them down? Did you just make them feel like they don't want to give you a dang thing ever again? So a lot of it is tone. A lot of it is how you say something. I mean, I say everything to people. I say, you're being a brat. You're being a little a-hole. I say that stuff to people, but I say it with love. I'm not judging them. I'm not upset with them. They know. And they're kind of like, I know I am. So people respond to the way you say something. I think you can say anything in your partnership. You can get to that place where you can say anything. I'm upset, I'm sad, I'm whatever, but it's got to be spoken in a way that literally does not shut that person or your partner down. So what are some ways that you can stop taking things personally and going into your reactionary brain? The first thing is to shift your perception. So if someone's coming at you and they're upset, being hostile, they're angry, they're going through something, all right, fine. But what if they attack you and they're verbal and they're mean? I'm not telling you to put up with crap, but I am saying if you lose your equanimity, if you lose your presence, if they get under your skin and you start reacting and you go to their level, well, they won. They got to you. So if someone's coming at you and they're saying some mean things, I want you to consider the source. Is this really somebody that you want to take advice from? Would you pay them for their coaching? I'm pretty picky. I pay for people to coach me and mentor me that I know are really aware and they know me. They're present and they can really deal with me at a level that I like to be dealt with. But they believe in me. They hold a space for me to be my greatness, right? But if someone's being critical of you and you wouldn't pay them for their coaching or their feedback, why are you listening to them now? Why would you defend yourself? Why do you have to defend yourself? You really don't. So most people are projecting, by the way. That's what I'm saying. I pay for a coach that doesn't project their stuff onto me. They genuinely will seek answers with me and they'll try and help me figure my stuff out. That's what I'm doing. But if you've got someone who is upset or angry or they think that they're good at counseling people, they're projecting themselves possibly, right? So if someone's critical of you, is it really you that they're talking about? People get defensive when they hear criticism about themselves because it's not true. And if it really lands on you like, that's not true, it's probably because they are truly projecting their own opinions about themselves onto you, or that's how they operate. And I see that a lot, by the way. A lot of people just project their stuff onto their partner. And that doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't help anything. But if you react to that, now we're off in the weeds, really not getting anything accomplished in a conversation. So you want to just go, okay, I got it. And I always say, thanks for sharing. Thanks for your feedback. I'm not sure if that's I'm going to take it on. In fact, don't take it on. Just be with it. But it doesn't have to upset you. It doesn't really have to bother you. It doesn't have to get you that upset. Don't give people permission to upset you. If you want to quit taking things personally, don't give people power over you like that. You've got to toughen up a little bit. You got to thicken your skin. I mean, I've done this with some people, with some clients when they come in. I say, okay, you're pretty thin-skinned. Like if I'm making you cry in the first 20 minutes, maybe we have a problem. I'm not maybe your coach because I'm going to be deliberate and I'm going to really try and help you sort out who you are and why your behavior is what it is. Like I'm more like that. But when people are want to work with me and they really want to toughen up a little bit, I say, okay, give me a list of everything that I could say to you that would really collapse you, that would make you feel horrible, that you would just go, oh my gosh, I can't go forward. I can't talk to you again. What words can I throw at you to make you collapse, right? You just shut down. And we drill that. Like literally, I will say that to that person. I did this with my mentor. It's like, you've got to, if you want to be a powerful communicator, you've got to be able to handle words and not let them get under your skin. It's kind of like funny nowadays when someone tries to, say things that would offend me. I'm thinking, that's all you got, and no one likes to be criticized at all. But I do feel like if you realize that it's just words and maybe the motive behind those words is to collapse you or is to shut you down, I'm not easy to dominate like that. So if I know someone's trying to get to me like that, I'm just going to be, a little detached. I'm going to pull back and I'm going to watch my reactions. I'm not going to let them roller coaster me emotionally. I'm not going to take that bait. I feel baited when people try and guilt trip me or critique me or whatever. And I kind of think, what are you doing behind my back? But you have to have a presence of mind that when someone's throwing these insults or words at you, you don't let them get in. They don't mean anything. And that person may not mean that much to you, but you have to be present with that. So the list would be everything that if someone said to you would shut you down. And then we practice that. We go through that list. And I'll tell you something, you literally leave here feeling bulletproof. It is the most empowering experience for some people. It changes their lives because they can't talk to their boss or they can't talk to their spouse or they can't parent their children. They can't critique their children. If you can't receive criticism or feedback, you can't give it either, by the way. It's one of those things, I don't want to hurt them. It's going to hurt them. No, maybe not, but you're not effective and you're not a leader. I mean, a lot of people are so, squeamish about, getting their feelings hurt. Their feelings are running them. You're dominated by your feelings if you're reacting to what someone says. So there's got to be some sort of freedom from that. And when people want to be powerful in life, you have to be able to handle haters or people, hurling slurs at you, whatever. You can't take that on and stop your life because someone doesn't like you or they called you fat or they called you ugly or stupid, whatever. It's like, well, thanks for sharing. It doesn't have to get you. It doesn't have to get to you. So we do a list. I make a list of people, what people can't handle, and then I drill it with them. I say it over and over and over until they either go, okay, that doesn't bug me anymore. Okay, good. Now, what's the next one? And we do a handful of these. It's really phenomenal when people get freed from that. And then they feel like, I can handle anything. And then their stride is more confident. They aren't afraid to be in public. They're not afraid of people. Their communication skills rise because they aren't afraid of words. And I think we all have gone through some pain with words and stuff, but it's amazing when you can take that on and really drill that out of yourself. Okay. Another thing you can do is, practice self-compassion. Like give yourself a little grace. We tend to run crazy and we're always trying to get everything done. And people are really hard workers. And then we guilt trip ourselves if we don't get things done. Try to practice not putting yourself down or making yourself wrong or, God, I'm such a dumbass. Like that kind of stuff does not serve. That really doesn't serve you. So practice a little self-compassion, a little grace for yourself. Give yourself some credit. Acknowledge, your feelings about, I didn't get that accomplished today or dang it, I was late. Okay, well, I'm going to correct you next time. But don't sink into, I'm a POS because I didn't keep my word or something. Have a little grace for yourself. Another way to develop yourself so you can stop taking everything personal is to know your worth. Your worth should be based on, your purpose, your work, things that you are proud of, and your looks, if that matters to you. But you want to know your worth in other ways. And so you've got to have a good self-confidence and a good identity about yourself. Or someone else can just take you off. You have to know yourself. You have to be proud of yourself. You've got to have something in your life that you are proud of. You keep your word with yourself and you accomplish and do hard things. So if you know yourself as strong and you know who you really are, someone coming around trying to tell you who they think you are, it doesn't matter because you know who you are. Another way to stop taking things personal is to set boundaries. Limit your contact of, I say, radiation poisoning. Some people feel like radiation poisoning to me, and they're just so toxic. They're just so negative. They're jealous. They're usually, this is a lot of people have some people in their family, could be an older sibling. When you're born, you dethrone them and they hate you. But it's usually people that are jealous and they don't like you and they want you to fail. And that's in the background of everything they kind of say to you. So there's always maybe a snarkiness or I'm just kidding or they're sarcastic. But you kind of leave that conversation with them feeling bad about yourself. And if that happens to you, then you know you've got to limit your exposure. And I tell people, look, if you're at a family event, like, have your own transportation so you can leave at any time. If you're getting triggered, you need to care enough about yourself. If you're going to lose your stuff, if you're taking something personal, take yourself out of there, calm yourself down, get away from that, and realize that you've got to have a limited exposure to that person that is like this, or you just don't be around them at all. Like, you just end that relationship and you move forward in your life if you can. But some people are just hell-bent on poking at you, hazing you, making you feel stupid, and embarrassing you. And you don't have to put up with that. If that was your childhood and you have older siblings that did this to you, you can limit your contact with them. And the goal when you're around them is just not to let them bait you into turning into that child again and reacting. A lot of this energy is, again, getting a reaction out of you and making you feel stupid and making you feel dumb and looking bad because you're reacting and throwing a fit or crying. So a lot of people have gone through a bit of bullying that are very sensitive. And so it's hard not to take things personal because they went through a bullying experience growing up. And that, I took it on like they just feel weak and they just feel beat up. And if that's you, that's where a list, making a list of things that if someone said to you would just collapse you would be useful, right? Another way to stop taking everything personal is to communicate clearly. So if someone says something to you, don't assume that they're attacking or negative. If you really don't know exactly what they meant by that, say, can you tell me what you meant by that? I didn't get that clearly. What did you say? Would you mind repeating that? Ask them for clarification. And if you're in a public room, there's people around, and someone is deliberately trying to just humiliate you or, collapse you, so to speak, and they embarrass you in public or they call you something, the best way to handle that is just stop, slowly look at them like, what did you just say to me? Make them repeat themselves. Because everyone's going to be looking and watching. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle it? Are you going to cry? Are you going to get upset? No, have your composure, be controlled, slow down, slow your brain down. Would you repeat that? Make them say it again. That's what I thought you said. Okay. Walk away. You don't owe them a response. In fact, if you respond, you're going to have a hard time probably keeping your composure if you take things personal. But I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of watching you fall apart or get mad or flip out. Like, just say, okay, and then get out of there. Another way to deal with people that want to, hurt you and you're sick of taking things personal is to be mindful. Like, just really be mindful. I really think practicing this kind of stuff is so useful. But be mindful. So if someone's, maybe someone's just being negative, they're just in a bad mood. They're just, not happy that day. They're not really trying to attack you, but because of their moodiness, you're on edge because you've had bullying experiences and you don't know if the other shoe is going to drop. So you're like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? And then they feel like they have to stop and, make sure you're okay and reassure you. And you don't want to be that way either. You don't want to be needy. You do want to be mindful and kind of go, people around me can be upset. I'm going to let them be upset. I'm going to let them be angry. That's not your job to fix it. But if you have a codependent tendency and you have difficult stuff in childhood, you may think you need to make that person happy. Oh no, he's angry. Oh no, she's angry. I got to make her happy. I got to do this. No, you don't. Let them do whatever they're doing. That's an approach, an attitude of, I'm going to let them be who they are. And people could be upset. But if they try and get it on you and make you respond or try to get them, guilt trip you into making them happy or whatever, again, you can pull back and say, okay, well, that doesn't work for me. You've got to set boundaries. You've got to tell people no. That's another thing to practice is being able to say, no, thank you. That doesn't work for me. I'd rather not. You need 10 different ways of saying no. You can say no with love. But if you say no and people get upset and try and guilt trip you or make you feel bad about that, shame and blame, again, those are toxic ways of being. And if it usually works on you because you take things personal and you feel guilty and bad, and then you jump for them to be happy, well, you've got a problem, right? Another way to try to stop taking these personal is to talk to yourself. Like, be positive with yourself. Give yourself credit. Really do some introspection and practice of, if this comes up again, if that happens again, this is how I'm going to handle it. And literally practice that. You can do that in the mirror. You can do that with a coach. You can do that with a friend. If people are giving you feedback, you want to be objective and, thank you for sharing that. You can just acknowledge it. It doesn't have to get in and make you doubt yourself. But you want to be able to take, if there's feedback given, let's just say a boss is giving you feedback. You want to listen objectively to what they're saying so you can improve yourself, improve your work. But you also want to be able to not let it emotionally, just gouge at you and make you feel bad about yourself. See, the goal of this is to not let the words They don't have to mean something about your worth. People that hear these kind of criticisms, it's almost like it's a character assassination for them. And even if you've dealt with people that are sensitive and you're trying to share, this is what I go through when I'm with you. This is a concern I've got. It's hard to be with you. It's hard to talk to you. And they, oh my gosh, and they defend themselves and they feel like you've attacked their character. That's someone who's taking it way too personal. Instead of hearing it as constructive, I want to get closer to you. If you do that, I'll feel better. I can get closer to you. That's what people need to understand is if you're so sensitive, you personalize everything, they can't share the truth with you. And that's the truth about people that are so sensitive, they take everything personal. They can't hear the truth possibly. So it's hard to be in a relationship with sensitive people because they can't handle the truth. And so then people lie to you. People lie to people that can't handle things, right? And if you're in a relationship where people betray you and lie to you on a routine basis, is it because you take everything so personal and you react to that? You're overreacting to the situation and or you're overreact to their truth because you're sensitive, right? That's usually a typical story of someone who takes everything personal. You're difficult to be with. It's difficult to be around you if you're always upset or if you're always letting things wound you. It really is kind of a mood set, a mindset, mood set and mindset that you can hear things without letting it collapse you, right? Another thing to be cognizant of is if you take everything personal, you got to let go of control. You really don't have control over other people and what they say and what they do. If they're trying to make you feel bad, well, that's something you can get away from. But you have to let go of trying to control them. And sometimes maybe if you get emotional or you defend yourself, it trains them, again, not to be authentic with you. But you have to take on this attitude of let them. They're going to feel that way. You let them. You can't stop them anyway. Like, what control do you really have? The only control you really have, by the way, is how you respond, how you feel, how it got in. I mean, if you get upset, by the way, because you're taking something personal, that's on you. If you're upset, if you're re-traumatized, that's something that you have to work on. Nobody can fix that for you. No one can walk on eggshells and make sure you feel safe and secure. You want to toughen yourself up a little bit, get stronger, so people can be rigorous and honest and real with you. It's very empowering when you can hear things without letting it hurt you. It's amazing, actually. Another thing is to focus on what you can control, which is your feelings, your activity. If you need to get up and leave to calm yourself down, you can focus on making yourself happy. You can focus on what you need to do to handle your reactions. You can focus on you. That's honestly what you can focus on. And you have control over how you handle certain things. Two more. So another way to deal with taking things personal is try to laugh, try to lighten it up. I mean, when people are trying to make fun of me and stuff, I laugh my ass off. I mean, it's so funny to me. I don't know why, but I think if you can try and lighten it up and have some humor with it, that helps. Another thing is really have discernment. Discernment is figuring out what's truth and what's opinion. Is what they're saying something I could learn from and grow from? Is there truth in that? Or is it just something that they're just throwing out an opinion because that's what their projection is? See, you want to be master of your own domain. You want to be a master of your own universe. And that means that you determine what gets in. You determine what upsets you. You determine how you're going to handle everything coming at you in life. We don't maybe control all the cards that we're dealt, but we can control how we're going to deal with that, how we're going to handle our situation. And that is maybe as good as it gets, is we have a choice in how we respond. Right before we're going to react to something or take it personal, there's a second that you have maybe an option to choose how you're going to deal with that, how you're going to handle it. And I say, take a slow pause, decide, and then choose wisely, my friend. If this conversation sounds like something you want to continue with me, I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to help you drill the process of hearing hard things and not reacting to it. I'd like to help you toughen up. And you are welcome to reach out to me at my website, healwithkimile.com. That's HEAL with KIMILE.com. Thanks for listening. Have a great and peaceful day. Thank you. Bye.